I'm State Representative Katrina Asay. I'm honored to represent the people of the 30th District, including Federal Way, Algona, Pacific, and portions of Milton, Des Moines, and Auburn. Thank you for joining me today. We are now more than halfway through the legislative session. Last Monday, March 7th, was the deadline for bills introduced in the House to be voted on and passed. They then head to the Senate to be heard. We then began hearing the bills that the Senate has already passed. The House passed 351 bills and the Senate passed 219 bills. Even though that sounds like a lot, the number of bills heard and passed this year is way down. One of the bills that made the cutoff was House Bill 1716. This is the legislation I sponsored to address the increase in home burglaries of gold and silver. I am grateful to all of you that called, emailed, or came to testify on behalf of the bill. All of the input truly improved the final bill. It will be heard in the Senate this week and hopefully passed out for the governor's signature. What I heard about most in my district last year, besides the angst of the budget, was the concern about the huge increase in home burglaries. In the last year alone, home robberies in Federal Way increased by over 15%. That's why Federal Way police and local officials asked me to put together a workable solution, one that protects businesses dealing with secondhand precious metals and the public. Working with stakeholders and fellow legislators, my bill addresses the illegitimate sellers and purchasers of precious metals and still allows a flourishing and legal precious metals market. Some concerns were raised about the impact this bill would have on collectors of gold and silver coins and bullion. I want to emphasize that this bill exempts currency such as stamps, bullion, and coins. That means purchasers and sellers of those items would not be impacted by this legislation at all. I am working with our senator to make sure the bill moves forward. In fact, it is scheduled to have a public hearing in the Senate on Thursday, March 17th. Now the House will be holding public hearings on some of the 219 bills sent over to us from the Senate, and likewise the Senate will review our legislation. That means more public hearings and input, so please share your thoughts with me on the legislation moving through the process. Budget-related bills are exempt from the March 7th deadline. The March 17th revenue forecast will tell us more about our state's financial health, but budget writers have been hard at work. We are faced with only a few short weeks to address the current budget spending gap and to agree on critical government reforms and efficiencies to address the problem in the next biennium. Some groups are proposing solutions like closing tax loopholes to solve the budget crisis. I believe it's important to look in all areas to reduce spending. We could close every loophole the state has created, and it would not even come close to closing the gap in the budget. There is a need for over $5 billion to sustain spending at current levels. There's just no way to balance the budget without removing programs. I believe the best way to turn our economy around is to get Washington working again. That doesn't just mean getting people into a job, which is a top priority for me, but it also means making decisions that slim down government and make it work for employers and employees. To that end, we passed an unemployment insurance bill that will do just that. Business unemployment insurance went up $360 million last year and was scheduled to go up over $300 million again this year. The House and Senate came together and passed legislation that will hold rates steady and give businesses certainty into the future. This is the kind of reform businesses need in order to hire long term. We can't hide from the state's financial storm. We have to plan ways to get through it. That's what citizens expect, and rightly so. I want to thank you for your emails and letters. It's good to hear from everyone at home, and I appreciate the feedback. I take your input seriously as I look at all of the pending litigation. Finally, I always welcome visitors in Olympia during session. Please feel free to contact my office to schedule an appointment. I'm Katrina Asay. Thank you again for the opportunity to serve you.